Council for National Policy information and try to act like they've been covering it all along when we know that is not the case. We have clips of Jones practically crapping his boxers when people have called in about the Council for National Policy. But now that his handlers appear to have given him a game plan, I guess he's more comfortable talking about it.
Yeah, it does seem like there has been a conversation with somebody. The approach was different. The tone was different. The things that were said were different.
Yeah, he was confident. He was actually confident. It was like there's a plan to be talking about that in that one segment.
And you heard it. I mean, I do agree with that, because it seemed that she was. And I'd like to go listen to that myself and hear a little bit before that. But it just seemed that she just came out with Council for National Policy out of nowhere. Like, okay, wait a minute, why are we suddenly talking about the Council for National Policy? Where did that come in? And that would lead you to believe that this could be a stage incident. I mean, very much so. And I think it's very apparently that what we have suspected for a great while is now coming to fruition. The intelligentsia of the Patriot movement seems to be trying to co-opt the CMP information to steer it back towards their agenda and make it work in their favor.
Yeah, the problem is that they're going to have a really hard time doing this because, I mean, Josh, both of us have been researching this stuff for a while now. We know this group probably almost as good as any of these other globalist outfits, probably better than most. And I can tell you what, I mean, the information that we're going to be putting out over the next several months, if we can get these films out in a big way, they're going to have some real problems in their hands. And look, this guy runs a multi-million-dollar operation. If people start to understand that this guy is not on the up and up, we can really do some damage to this guy's fraudulent operation. I really hope we can do so. And again, this is nothing vindictive towards him, but when you see an organization like this that is designed for nothing but nefarious purposes, I mean, you have to think this way, because I believe firmly that operation is one of the main problems that we have here in the alternative research community in terms of reaching more and more people. Because a lot of people, when they first start looking at this information, well, they find that guy. And they find all this half-truths, as you've been mentioning, Josh. So we have to do something to expose this information in a big way, and not the way that they're going to try to spin it over at Jones Corporation.
Yeah, and that's indeed what it is. And I mean, I just can't agree with you more, Lee. I think that the proof is in the pudding on this information, and the real. But let's not mince words here. Let's stick to the facts. The real fact of the matter is that the CMP goes far beyond some other minor league globalist organization like the CFR or any of these other groups. And the reason that this group goes far beyond that, which I encourage everybody out there to look this stuff up on your own and not just believe me or Lee, but after well over 3 years of researching this group, the biggest thing that always comes back is, number one, the fact of how many people you have engaged in these groups like the Council for National Policy that seem to be members of these bloodlines. And these bloodlines all go back to the Levite tribe, the tribe of David, the Merovingian bloodline. They go back to all the same bloodlines that have spawned all major religions all over the planet. And this is a lot deeper of a connection, and of course tying back to the Jesuit order, back to the Sovereign Military Order of Malta, the Templars, even farther back in time, going back to the Canaanite civilization, looking at some of the iconography from that. I mean, this is so much deeper than just some modern day globalist organization that's trying to set up, a one world government. Lee, we're talking about people who are doing these agendas because they are hiding the secrets of all of humanity, the secrets of everything about ourselves. These people are working and are a part of an agenda that is keeping mankind in a state of arrested development. And so macrocosmically, they're doing that. And microcosmically, Jones, as you mentioned, this is why it's so important that this information get out, is because there are so many people out there who could really be enlightened and awakened and really want to get to the real heart of the matter of who is attempting to enslave us, but they are being withheld and withdrawn, and they're kept in this prison, this mental prison, by Alex Jones and the things that he does by not giving people the entire picture. The stuff that he does do is great. The stuff that he does expose is right on. But the fact of the matter is there is a whole other half of this story that he has not even mentioned yet. And if we are indeed going to fight evil on this planet, we need to have all of the information. And that's why I do what I do. And I know that's why you do what you do, Lee.
Well, Josh, one of the things I want to have happen is I want people to get excited about researching the Council of Financial Policy.
Yes.
I want people to get excited about researching the John Birch Society, all these phony conservative groups, the Heritage Foundation, and so forth and so on. And I tell you what, that clip about the Heritage Foundation, that is an evil organization. I mean, they had friggin' Dick Cheney speak at the Heritage Foundation. And Charlotte Isby's getting up there saying that, 90% of what they do is good. Are you freaking kidding me? We also have a mainstream news clip of the Heritage Foundation talking about how, it's okay to use food as a weapon. All right, this is the same type of garbage that you see from all these people that are considered to be the New World Order, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, all these people. So it's really the same type of thing. But again, and I think, Josh, what you said about half-truths is really right on, because these half-truths, these people who speak in terms of providing 60% of the truth or 70% of the truth, these are some very dangerous people, because a lot of what they might say is correct. A lot of what they might say is right on the money, but then they mislead you on 20 or 30% of the information that they talk about. So it leaves the person listening or watching completely confused. And this has been the modus operandi of people like Sean Hannity, Michael Savage, and all these other neoconservative talk show hosts, as well as Alex Jones. So this right here, it's very important to understand that. And that's why we're exposing this information. And this is why I want other people to look into this stuff, because I guarantee you, if you start researching this stuff, you'll come across information that myself or Josh haven't even had the chance to come across. So this is what we really need to do.
I want to go back to something you mentioned just a bit ago, Lee, about that Heritage Foundation clip that we got from the News Archives. It's in Secret Volume 1. People can go check that out on YouTube or on my website. People check that out. But that clip, I mean, I sit there sort of thinking about it. Even though I've seen that clip a bunch of times, I was sitting there thinking about it as you were talking about it. I was, man, the idea that on a mainstream news source like NBC in the 1980s, we literally had a news broadcast where the presenter actually said on TV that there is a conservative group, and one of their many agendas and many of their outlines that they were openly admitting to on the 6 o'clock news was using food as a weapon. And every single person that was alive at that time when that news broadcast went out just, I guess, thought that was okay, because there weren't protests about it. There weren't throwing those guys out of office or anything else. No. So you mean to tell me that these guys just openly admit that using food as a weapon against any people? I don't care who it's against. You can tell me that, we have to use it against these people over here because they're communists, or we have to use it against these people over here. We justify it because, they're Al-Qaeda and they want to kill us because we're Christians. I don't care how you justify it. And if we were so asleep in 1985, whenever that was, that we didn't notice something on the 6 o'clock news that said that we had a conservative group using food as a weapon, then it shouldn't be too much to understand why you, who considers yourself a researcher out there, or considers yourself a conspiracy theorist or a truther, you can see that if we had a clip like that on the 6 o'clock news that nobody noticed, should be able to see now why it should be very easy that you, in all your years of research, never came across the Council for National Policy. You never came across it because it wasn't being presented to you in a way that gave its importance. And that's why Lee and I try to get you to look at this information, is because it is just as important as knowing about the Freemasons or the Illuminati or the Federal Reserve or any other piece of information. We have to have all of it. And for too long, we have had our mind saying, we'll talk about this over here. I mean, I've literally heard Alex Jones 100 times say, I don't talk about UFOs. I don't talk about UFOs. I don't talk about UFOs. That's a distraction. And then I heard him about a year ago say, folks, I've been exposing UFOs for the past 12 years on my show. And I just crapped myself. I was like, you haven't been exposing UFOs for 12 years. You've said that was a distraction. So anytime an issue gets hot, they get Jones to co-opt it, jump on top of it, and then control the perimeters of where it's going. And you know what? I really think that would have worked a couple of years ago, but I think it's too little too late. I think that people have caught on to the CMP stuff a lot more. and have really started to understand a lot more now. And I hate to say this, Lee, but I think this is going to be better for our side than theirs. I think this is going to blow up in their face.
Well, I think so too, because clearly there's a real problem here with this information. This guy keeps bringing on people who have had ties back to this group, have been members of this group, and he acts like it's no big deal. I mean, over the past several months, I got so pissed off and upset seeing how he continues to bring on these people, and he gives them all this credibility, doesn't ask them about the Council for National Policy. So I started writing articles. Each time he brought on some Council for National Policy stooge or somebody who had ties to that group or members of the group at one point, I wrote an article about it. He had Larry Pratt. He had a bunch of these other characters on, Paul Craig Roberts. I mean, Paul Craig Roberts isn't our character, and we've talked about this so much. But here's a guy who was a member of the Center for Strategic and International Studies, which is a globalist think tank that was started at the Jesuit-run Georgetown University. He was there for about, 10 years? 10 friggin' years. He was there. And he held this post that was named after the Knight of Malta, William Simon. This guy was there for a very long time. He's been involved, of course, with the CNP. And if you don't know about the Center for Strategic International Studies, check out who you see on the group's website. You'll see Brzezinski, you'll see Kissinger, you'll see all these people that are considered to be public enemy number one of people in the Truth and Patriot movement. It's unbelievable. And never has Alex talked about that. He doesn't ask Mr. Roberts, well, gee, Mr. Roberts, what's this about the Center for Strategic International Studies? I mean, why are you a member of this group for 10 years? And he doesn't ask him about this stuff at all. And there's a reason for that. And I think it should be obvious to most people at this point who are listening to this show. All right, don't you think, Josh?
Yeah, I do, and that's the whole point of this more recent operation. We should play that clip again, Lee, if you can. We should play that clip again here in just a second because
sure.
Let's hear it again because I think there's probably some stuff in there we'd pick up on again. But I mean, it's so interesting to see because I've got a lot of clips that are going to be in the See Right 2 from different shows that we've played here on your show and my show through the years. The clips of Jones saying, I've looked into this EMP and it's the junior CFR and blah, blah, blah. People just want to divide us between left or right and they have no power. And then to hear the new clip where all of a sudden he seems interested in it and wants to have a show exposing it. And as you mentioned, this wasn't done on his regular broadcast. This was done on the Overdrive show. So more than likely the powers that be that listen to his show listen to it during the prime time segment. So I talked about on my show not too long ago that, if this guy would just come out on his broadcast and denounce all this stuff, that maybe we could take him a little bit more seriously. But that's not going to happen. What's going to happen is this is going to be steered back towards their control and back towards their agenda, and then they'll just try to negate all the real hard information that you and I are putting out as, just stuff that those other kooks say, like they try to do with no plane theory or space beam theory or anything else. It's not that it's an open discussion and all information should be on the table, which is how it's supposed to be. Whether or not I agree with your theory or your belief or not, or whether you believe with mine is not the issue. How it's supposed to be is that everything is put on the table and we have a discussion and we leave out what works, put in what works and leave out what doesn't. And, but that's not what happens over there with the Jones Corps operation. It is you believe what we say about it, and that's it, and everything else is not to be paid attention to. So I think that we're in a real position now. That's why I'm glad with the See Right Volume 2. I'm not. You mentioned earlier, I'm not really so much focusing on the group itself within this new film, but more of the connections to the people that are associated with the group. We're going to discuss the Jesuit involvement in the First American Civil War and the Jesuit involvement in a whole lot of things, really delve into the Jesuits quite a bit. It's almost going to be like 3 mini films in one, Lee. That's how the new film is going to be. And the second part's going to be on Jeff Gannon, Johnny Gosch, and how that ties in with, the Temple of Set and Michael Aquino and Iran-Contra and GCN. And then after that, we're going to get into discussing a bit about some of these individuals that will go unnamed right now, but some of these individuals that have been involved, and we're going to get into detailing their connections with this. So I think that is, that's the whole thing. That all we can really continue to do is just keep digging and keep putting what we find out there. And ultimately, the people are going to decide what they believe. It's not,